Thank you for joining me at Fit to Be a Mom. I haven't been here in a while, but I am back, and today we are making no-bake protein bars. The first thing we'll need is a tub of nut butter. I got this peanut butter from Sprouts, and they have a bunch of variations, and I find it easiest to use a mixer to blend the oils and the actual butter together, because when you get it, it's usually separated. Once our nut butter is blended nicely, we want to add our whey isolate protein. The recipe calls for 1 full cup, but I like to do 1/2 cup at a time. The reason being is that the other ingredients must be added, and if we do the full cup, the batch might become too dry. The next ingredient is a 1/4 cup of coconut flour. I also do this a little at a time, 1/8 cup at a time, so that it's blended well. Once we get the coconut flour blended well, we want to add the sweetener. The sweetener we use is 1/3 cup of Lakanto monkfruit sweetener. I like to make sure that everything is blended nicely before I continue to add the next ingredient. Next, we're going to add our liquid sweetener. I'm using honey in this batch, but I've also used the Lakanto maple flavored syrup. Or sometimes I'll even use half the Lakanto maple flavored syrup and half honey. So remember at the beginning we only added 1/2 cup of whey protein. Now we're going to add the other half, but we're going to do it slowly because we don't want to put too much in where the batch becomes too dry. So the reason why we add the last 1/2 cup of whey protein to the batch at the end is because the oils in the nut butter vary from tub to tub. Sometimes I've had batches where I had to add extra protein, and then sometimes I've had batches where I've not even used the whole 1/2 cup. Like I said, it all depends on each tub of nut butter. So our next ingredient is optional. It's non-GMO vegetable protein, and it adds a certain texture to the protein bars, kind of like a Rice Krispie crunch. I use a 1/4 cup and then I blend it in. So now we're going to go ahead and put it in the pan. We'll use parchment paper so that it doesn't stick to the pan, and it'll be easier to pull out and cut. Now we're going to put the batch into the pan. I like to do the corners first, that way it anchors the parchment paper. So I do all 4 corners, and then I spread the rest all around the pan. Now we're going to take some parchment paper and we're going to
make it flat.
We're going to first use our hands and we're going to just press it down so that all the sides are not coming up. They're pressed up against the side. Then I'm going to take just a round jar and I'm going to press it down even further. I like to use a round jar with a flat top. That way I can get that top as close to the edge as possible. So here we are, it's all nice and flat. I take a spatula and I press down on the very edges so that it's not sticking up any. That way the chocolate can actually actually go into the sides and not up on the protein bar. The next step is the chocolate, and I like to use the Lily's brand. We use about half the bag, which equals to about 3/4 cups. We'll then put about half of it, or maybe a little less than half, into a microwave-safe bowl. Add a half a tablespoon of coconut oil and put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds. Once it's melted, we'll whisk it together, and then we'll just keep adding more of the chips until all of the chips are blended in there. So then we put the chocolate on top, and I like to do the corners first because it makes it easier to get the chocolate in those corners once we start spreading it. Once you're done spreading the chocolate, we want to put it in the refrigerator so that the bars can set. Once they're set, we can cut them into our protein bars. And there you have it, protein bars, no bake. This is Pamela Little with Fit to Be a Mom, and I will see you next time.
Signing off.
Don't forget to subscribe and like.